Welcome back. Could trade schools be making a comeback? The answer is yes, and here's the problem. A lack of skilled labor force is impacting an increasing number of companies which have jobs but not available workers. Trade schools have been around for a long time, but somewhere along the line we were all conditioned to believe a college degree is your ticket to the middle class or better. But is that really the case? Is it time to rethink the virtue of learning a trade? Joining us for more are Deborah Chapman, the program director at Career Edge, and Elena Chavez, a graduate of that program. And Elena, welcome to the Trapezoid. What do you do for a living?
Hi, I'm a plumber and a backflow specialist, and I work for Plumbing Today.
Let me ask you, what was your thinking? What was your process coming out of high school thinking about whether or not to either go to college or go to a trade school?
Well, with college, I already knew with 4 years that I would probably be in debt. I'm talking to most of my past friends that are currently still paying off a loan. I kind of got the information from Women's Resource Center of the tuition free with Career Edge, saying that if I qualified and applied for FAFSA that they would help me fund my tuition. And so I came out not having any debt at all. They paid for everything. And not only that, but it was only 10 months worth of a class, Monday through Friday, you know, with Robbie Wolf, who was an awesome teacher and taught so much good stuff with plumbing. And not only that, but Suncoast had such a good lab, hands-on, everything you can think of, water heater, toilets, backflows, everything. So that was a plus side on that. And then also knowing that plumbing is something that everyone needs. Water-wise, getting rid of stuff-wise.
It's a recession-proof business.
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, FAFSA is the system that the federal government has, whether you're going to a trade school or going to a college or university, to apply to federal aid. And believe me, I have become well acquainted with FAFSA with 2 kids in college right now. There is a little bit of confusion about the differences, you know, in terms of some people, in terms of what is a trade school, what is a community college, and you know, even the president himself sometimes gets these terms confused. This is what he said recently.
A word that you don't hear much, but when I was growing up, we had what was called vocational schools. They weren't called community colleges, because I don't know what that means, a community college. To me, it means a 2-year college. I don't know what it means.
Well, Deborah, is that part of the problem, that the president is not alone in that, in this day and age, that people may not really understand what the terms are? I mean, if you have a kid who's going to the community college, by and large, at least around here, they know they're not going to a trade school.
Right, and at State College of Florida, you can get a 2-year degree, AS, which is an Associate of Science, which is a terminal degree, or an AA, which is to move on to a bachelor's degree. People don't realize that the technical colleges, Suncoast Technical and Manatee Technical, offer these certifications that are in high demand with high-wage jobs, and usually those are a career in a year.
And we're probably going to continue talking about this in the next segment, but I at least want to start the conversation. So often when we hear the latest jobs report, we hear manufacturers saying the problem is they don't have enough skilled workers to do the job.
That's right, and that's why in 2012 we were instrumental in bringing the precision machining program at Suncoast Technical. And those graduates every year are in high demand and getting often hired, or they try to hire them before they even finish the program. So the manufacturing people are surprised, and our community is one of the highest growing industries.
What is the demand for workers with a trade, whether or not it's plumbing or welding or the automotive here on the Suncoast right now?
Very high. So there's critical shortages based on both the need from the expansion post-recession and something we call the silver tsunami. Baby boomers are retiring. So we have a huge shortage of workers in the trades, and we're trying to recruit. Something that we do a lot at Career Edge is trying to get the message out in the community in general and to the students in the K-12 in the school system that these are good pathways, these are good jobs. And Elena's nodding because that's
Robbie Wolf even said that 55% of plumbers are actually retiring and only 17% are going in.
Okay, we are just getting warmed up on our conversation. We'll have more on trade schools in a moment, right after we check the first alert weather. Welcome back. We're talking about the comeback of trade schools, and joining us for more are Deborah Chapman, Program Director at Career Edge, and Elena Chavez, a graduate of that program. And Elena, let me start with you. I was looking at different stories about trade schools today. I found this passage from one of those stories. It's part of the national trend that's been going on for decades now, that students go to high school, graduate, and head off to four-year university. It almost becomes a coming-of-age ritual. Meanwhile, vocational programs have gained a reputation as being a place where you go when you can't hack it elsewhere. That's not true.
No, not at all.
You made a decision, as you described to us, that this is work that you love to do and a salary that you can live on.
Yes, I'm pretty much set right now where I'm at, and I continue to grow, and the more I grow and gain knowledge, which is always available out there because plumbing is always expanding, you're always learning new stuff with plumbing. You know, the more I grow and the more knowledge I gain, the more money I'm going to make, and the more I can help people as well. So that's the thrill of my job, is you guys need a plumber, you guys need water, you need us to take care of that sanitary stuff. You know, and it's not only a job, but it's a career, and I don't work a day in my life because I love what I do.
When you were starting this process, what was your thinking in terms of what trade to go into? Was it a long-term interest of yours, or did you go through down the line and look at a number of different things and finally going the plumbing route?
So actually, when I was at the Women's Resource Center and I was doing the employment program, we were talking about that. You know, what kind of job would you want if you want kids, if you want to be settled, if you want that house? And I thought about it. You know, what's always going to be there? You know, and I saw that flyer. I'm like, plumbing. You know, I never really thought about plumbing. I never did any type of plumbing work in my life, but I definitely stepped on it and took advantage of it, and I don't regret it one bit.
Deborah, we talked about how plumbing is a recession-proof business, but there have been other stories, especially with the economic downturn in 2008, that really hit the building industry. There were a lot of people who worked in those trades, in building houses and large construction projects, and those industries were devastated at the time. They're now making a comeback, and with that are the jobs.
Right. But as you mentioned, these particular construction trades are pretty recession-proof. So plumbing, electrician, air conditioning technicians, those are very, very stable. Manufacturing, machinists, those are in high growth. Automotive mechanics, they're also in high demand. So some of the labor that you see in construction that don't carry the certifications and some of the training that goes with these skilled labor programs are more prone to those cyclical impacts, but not the majority of the trades are not that are growing in Florida. They're very, very stable, and the economists predict will continue to grow. There's going to be ongoing demand for many years.
Let's talk about a little bit in terms of the financial assistance out there for those who want to go to these schools. We talked about FAFSA, which is what, you know, anybody who sends a kid to college knows exactly what that is. You apply to the federal government for aid. The president in the State of the Union address talked about making more money available for young people who want to go to trade schools. How will that work?
Well, right now, a lot of people don't realize that as it exists today, Pell Grants, which is why you fill out the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, that application for any program that's 600 hours or more. So the vast majority of programs at Manatee Technical College and Suncoast Technical in Sarasota are Pell eligible. That means that based on financial need, the average award's $4,000, the cap around $6,000. These programs are completely paid for by those federal dollars for low-income families. There's also a lot of private scholarships. Our community foundations, our donors in the community are very generous, and there's money available for these technical trade programs that people don't realize, that they need to go to the school and fill out those applications, that there's scholarships there. In terms of new changes, right now there's a lot of bipartisan support with the Jobs Act that's up for a vote to decrease the Pell eligibility in terms of the number of hours to even shorter term programs. Employers are really desperate right now for training, so some of the programs we can get them faster in a shorter period of time in terms of training and get them out there. And with the Pell eligibility decreasing the hours, there's more dollars available.
Elena, how did you go about it? Did you have the money to pay for the education up front? Did you go the Pell route? Did you fill out FAFSA? How did it work?
And so, well, with the flyer tuition free, it caught my eye. So I went and applied, and I qualified for FAFSA. Half of the grant there paid for half of the class, and then Career Edge stepped in because I was attending the college and wanting to go forth with a career. They paid the rest of it. I walked out not paying a thing except for a t-shirt, which was $8 for the class. Like, I bought like 4 of them, and they lasted for the week.
And what Elena's describing is the program that we did, mailing out postcards to all of the high school graduates in Sarasota County over the last 7 years saying free college tuition, plumbing, tech program, but the bottom fill out the FAFSA, must fill out the FAFSA. And we shared it with our community partners like the Women's Resource Center.
And how quickly did you get a job?
So I did the 10 months, well, I started the class in September and then I graduated in May, and literally like 3 weeks later I was hired on Plumbing Today, and 3 months later, after training with Michael Collins, another backflow technician there, I was in my own truck, and I brought it here today. It's a pink van, so it's really nice because I'm a female, so it's able to, you know, show other females as well that it's okay to be a plumber in a male-dominated field.
Well, let me ask you this, how many females, how many women are there that you're working alongside with?
So, well, with the class, I was the only female in the class of 13 guys. It was pretty fun to get that experience. But with my personal company, there's me and Katie. And Katie's in projects, so she does a lot of repipes. I do a lot of the service and backflow. So just two of us.
Something we're trying to do is get more women
Yeah.
into the trades, and we were thrilled when Elena joined it. And she was, she graduated first in the class, and they dubbed her Queen of Soldering. So
Yeah, I'm
she
the
was-
queen of
she was
soldering
quite
at my
good.
job. So every time I walk in the office, like, "What's up, Elena? You're Queen of Soldering," because I just love the solder.
Deborah, is it an issue that here in Florida, it seems like most people are from someplace else, and the terminology used to describe vocational schools and you know, community colleges and trade schools are different around the country, and does that result in some kind of confusion around here in terms of parents and young people in terms of what they're dealing with?
Yeah, absolutely. And for like Sarasota County, it used to be the Sarasota County Technical Institute, and it was changed to Sarasota or Suncoast Technical College. But there is a lot of confusion because people don't understand what all these different words mean. What we try to do in simplifying it, especially working with the students in the high schools, is that their pathways is a technical trade. There's the availability of these colleges is 1 year or less to get that technical certification. And I think the key thing is showing that these jobs are high-paying, high-wage, career laddering. And we have to do some work with the parents too, by the way. It isn't just getting young adults interested in the programs. We have to show their parents that today's trades, you know, have really high opportunities. It isn't manufacturing. It isn't dirty jobs. There's some of that perception we have to overcome.
And I made reference to that off the top, that we almost have become conditioned as a society that you want your kid to go to college. And that's, number one, that's difficult for many families. And number two, that really doesn't account to the interests of those children. So is there an educational factor that goes along with this in terms of the parent and the child together? Absolutely.
And that's something that we're really working on, helping them to understand those pathways and understand the wages, because they're very, very high for a lot of these jobs. You've already, you know, alluded to it. The starting wages in some of these technical trades is in that $15 to $20 an hour, but move up very, very quickly. There's research that's shown that you know, some of these high-skilled trades are surpassing bachelor's level in a very, very short period of time. So that's something that I think families, once they understand that opportunity, that changes their perception.
Okay, I want to thank you both. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on a Brookside middle school teacher getting suspended and charged. John Russo allegedly pushed a student up against a wall after he approached a track meet with a hoodie on and refused to stop and identify himself. Russo has been put on leave and charged with battery. We went to Facebook for your thoughts, and Shannon says wearing a hoodie might be against school rules, but at what point is it a threat to students? He should have took it up with the school resource officer. He is a teacher, not the police. Lourdes says he acted honorably. His only motive was to protect students' lives from someone that appeared to be a threat. And Susan says the student should have done what he was told, period. End of discussion. No hoodies means no hoodies. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Deborah Chapin is the program director at Career Edge, and Elena Chavez is a graduate of the program.